you don't have to pick. Your buyer personas will give you the ideas and will serve to tell you what are the biggest top of mind goals, biggest top of mind challenges that they want addressed. Top 7 lead magnet ideas for infrastructure, software, or fintech companies. Suppose you're part of an infrastructure, software, or fintech company that needs a steady flow of highly qualified leads for your sales team. In that case, you'll almost certainly need some excellent content for lead generation. In this video, you're going to be introduced to 7 different lead magnet ideas that help you educate and build trust with your prospects and turn your leads into highly educated leads and people that you've established and built trust with to be seen as an expert in your space. So they transform leads into sales opportunities. But before we do that, can I ask you to take a moment and subscribe to this YouTube channel and ring the bell so you can be notified when new content just like this becomes available. So first up, there is the old standby, the ebook. When an ebook can be anywhere from a few pages to a few 100-page version of a print book that you might buy on Amazon, one thing is for sure. A great ebook can be a game changer for differentiation, thought leadership, competitive positioning, sales cycle acceleration, and more scalable, predictable revenue growth. So how do you decide what topics that you should cover in your ebook? It's simple. You actually are not going to decide. Really, seriously, you're not going to be the one deciding. Instead, let your buyer persona's goals and challenges dictate your ebook content strategy. Again, you don't have to pick. Your buyer personas will give you the ideas and will serve to tell you what are the biggest top of mind goals, biggest top of mind challenges that they want addressed in your ebook. Again, a buyer persona is a semi-fictional representation of an ideal client, an ideal stakeholder based on actual research and some select educated speculation. Second, on the top 7 list of lead magnet ideas is the white paper. Similar to an ebook or downloadable content with high perceived value in the eyes of your target buyer personas, a white paper is another kind of lead magnet that educates and builds trust at scale. Typically, a white paper tends to be more technical, sometimes more theoretical than an ebook. However, what constitutes technical content many times is in the eye of the beholder. It really comes down to whether it's technical content or business content and who your buyer personas are and their baseline level of knowledge. Third kind of lead magnet idea to consider is publishing a research report. Do you have questions that you're intensely curious about? What are the curiosities of your most important target buyer persona? Either way, commissioning original research that provides answers to those questions and publishes those findings in a downloadable research report can be a game changer for your company's positioning as the go-to experts in your space. While you could make a huge financial investment in creating, publishing, and distributing this kind of content, your research report, for a more 1.0 version of this or a minimum viable product, an MVP, you really could create a research report project that's as simple as planning 10 or 20 questions that your buyer persona would be super interested in finding out the answers to how their peers answer that particular question. Next, use off-the-shelf survey software and have a sufficient amount of qualified respondents complete your survey. Then tabulate the results of the survey into easy-to-understand graphs and charts. Many survey applications actually do this for you automatically. You may, if you're going for perfection with your branding and design, maybe you want to have your graphic designer reformat those. But again, basic charts and tables that summarize what you found and the answers to each of those 10 or 20 questions. And then write a research report that presents your findings and draws some reasonable conclusions based on what you learned from the responses to those surveys. Another big lead magnet, number 4 to consider when you're looking to generate more highly qualified leads is especially for infrastructure, software, and fintech companies that sell to technical buyers, checklists. A checklist can be a great lead magnet choice. Your onboarding and support teams may actually have some source documents that can be readily converted, readily repurposed into downloadable checklists that have high perceived value. Other times, other kind of lead magnet content you might want to use, such as ebooks, white papers, and reports, can also often be repurposed quite easily into actionable, downloadable checklists. And when in doubt, buyer persona research will almost always lead you to some additional lead magnet content ideas specifically around building checklists. Number 5, consider creating templates that you can use as lead magnets. If your company sells software, you can often pique the curiosity of your target personas by creating templates that help organize information manually that solve problems that your SaaS platform solves automatically. Regardless of whether you're providing templates in a downloadable format, or such as Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, or you're sharing a view-only Google Workspace file like a document, spreadsheet, or slides, templates can be a fantastic way to demonstrate value to your audience of what your platform can do, as well as saving your audience a ton of time, which they can extrapolate will be even more accelerated when they invest in your platform. 6 is consider creating webinars as lead magnets. Are you generating a consistent flow of qualified leads through your lead magnets, but not enough of those leads are advancing into sales opportunities that are ready, or sales qualified leads, marketing qualified leads that are ready to pass over to your sales team? If so, webinars can be a fantastic way to educate and build trust at scale in a one-to-many format. And by using the video part of your webinar strategy, which can be as basic as turning on your webcam during the webinar while you're presenting, your webinar attendees will also feel like they're beginning to know, as people, the human connection, your presenters. And if you're curious to learn more about the why behind this, look up the idea of mere exposure, M-E-R-E, the mere exposure effect on Wikipedia, which it defines as the psychological phenomenon when people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they are familiar with them. Webinars can be a huge help as a lead magnet for a lot of different reasons. And finally, the number 7 lead magnet to consider for generating more high qualified leads is creating tools. Online web-based tools can be terrific lead magnets that your target buyer personas can discover and derive great value from, that provide solutions to their problems and insight about some of the unique challenges and the context in which they're trying to address their goals and challenges. While tools can be much more challenging to develop than some of the other lead magnet ideas that we've introduced here, in recent years there's many third-party tools that are relatively inexpensive that have emerged to allow non-developers like marketers, content marketers, to create user-friendly tools with relatively little time and budget, and most importantly, zero coding knowledge. At the most basic level, a tool could be an online quiz that asks a handful of questions and instantly grades the answers while providing feedback and a relevant call to action to those taking the online quiz. Which idea that we've talked about here, what's your favorite lead magnet that you would use in an infrastructure software fintech company? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you need help figuring out an effective lead magnet strategy for scaling up your company's lead generation, feel free to look me up on LinkedIn, send me a quick note about what kind of help you're looking for, and we may be able to work together. I'm Joshua Feinberg from SP Home Run, and I wish you great success in developing remarkable lead magnets that help fill the top of your funnel with highly qualified, highly interested prospects that your sales team is tripping over each other to want to reach out to. Hey there, it's Joshua Feinberg from SP Home Run, and we are so glad that you stopped by to watch this video today. If you got good value from its content, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and ring the bell so that you can be notified when new videos just like this become available. Hope you're having a great day, and we wish you great success.